Hello, dear friends. Welcome to Kardec Radio Daily Prayer Program. We are here together to read a message, pray together, and really join one another in this current of light, of love. Right now, our planet is even in more need of prayers. We need to be, as Jesus told us, watch and pray even more, because we have seen not only the pandemic that's happening, but acts of violence going on across our planet in so many areas due to various reasons. So, even a more important lesson for us to be here together, to pray together. So, thank you for joining us. We ask, we know that it's hard right at this time to sometimes stop what we're doing. We have busy schedules. If we have children at home, it's time for dinner. But we ask you, if you can, to go aside, ask your children to join us in this moment. Just take a few minutes so that we can really concentrate and be together in this current of prayer. So I'm going to invite you for an initial prayer, and then we're going to read a message from the book, The Way, the Truth, and the Light. So we invite you to close your eyes and let us forget all the troubles of our daily lives. And let's imagine that a beam of light is falling on you at this moment, coming directly from the higher spheres of the earth. You see this beautiful beam of light with the same colors as the rainbow: green, yellow, blue, pink. And as you see yourself surrounded by this light, let's raise our thoughts to our Creator. Dear loving God, we're still so small in your infinite universe, but we know that we are loved infinitely by you. And today, maybe for the first time in a reincarnation, we acknowledge that we also love you immensely. You are the center of our lives. And as a loving Father, you know exactly what we need without us even saying. You, Father, loves us so much that allow us to reincarnate again and start anew. We have asked on our knees for another opportunity, and you have granted to us. Open our minds in our hearts, Father, so that we don't commit the same mistakes as we have been doing for centuries. Give us strength, hope, and faith to walk in the narrow but straight path towards you. With so much gratitude in our hearts for these blessed moments, we ask your permission to start these moments of prayer and reflection tonight. And so be it. Hi, friends. I see so many great friends here. So, thank you so much for being together. We are in our daily prayer program, and I'm going to start by reading a message from the book, The Way, the Truth, and the Life, psychographed by our dear, dear Chico Xavier by the Spirit Emmanuel. Tonight, we'll be reading message number 89, and it's titled Peter's Failure. So I'm going to read this message, and then we're going to together bring some highlights to you to help us enter in the same frequency as our guardian angels so that we can finalize with our daily prayer of today. So, Emmanuel starts this message by quoting from Matthew's chapter 26, verses 58. But Peter followed him at a distance to the courtyard of the high priest, and upon entering, he sat amongst the servants to see the outcome. Emmanuel then explains to us, failure, as much as any success, has its positive causes. Peter's denial has always been an interesting subject in the Christian communities. Could the moral downfall of the Master's benevolent friend have been fate? Why would Simon Peter refuse to cooperate with the Lord in such a difficult time? In this particular, it is useful to examine Peter's carelessness. The loving fisherman's failure lies in his lack of attention to the warnings he had been given. There are a lot of modern-day disciples who share in those very same denials because they are inattentive. The gospel states that in that hour of Christ's ultimate toil, Simon Peter followed him at a distance. He entered the courtyard of the high priest and sat among the servants to see the outcome. A careful reading of the text shows us the meaning. And we can see that even today, many friends of the gospel fail in their aspirations and hopes by following Christ at a distance because they fear having to give up their immediate gratifications. When they are called to bear witness, they linger in the neighborhood of redemptive struggles among servants of utilitarian conventions, using binoculars in order to see what the outcome of others' toils will be. Under such circumstances, even every modern-day disciple will fail and weep bitterly. What a message, right, friends? Emmanuel has always, he comes and brings so much for us to reflect in even a very short passage. And he goes straight to the point. So he's talking here about Simon Peter's failure. Let's recap. Simon Peter was one of Jesus' disciples, and he had a very close relationship with Jesus because he welcomed Jesus to his own home. In the book Jesus in the Home, we get to know by Neil Lucio the accounts of the beautiful lessons and the beautiful God at home gatherings that Jesus held with the apostles in Simon Peter's home. So he was very, very close to Jesus. But at the ultimate time, as Emmanuel here describes to us, he follows Jesus at a distance, and he enter in the courtyard, and he keep himself with others. He see everything that is happening in the most critical times of Jesus' suffering, and he's there. He's just watching from a distance. So then Emmanuel brings this to us, right? So let us together, through Emmanuel's words, bring this to our lives. Nowadays, what is to be what he describes here, following Jesus at a distance? Well, it might be that we accept Jesus in our hearts, we study about his gospels, but then we always keep ourselves in a comfort zone, right? We might know that the best path might be a certain way, which we know is not always the easiest way, but we keep ourselves there, as he says here. The loving fisherman's failure lies in his lack of attention to the warnings he has been given. So, in our lives, what are the warnings that we have all been receiving for actually many, many lives, many reincarnations? It's something for us to reflect, to look back in our lives and see what are the main themes in our lives. You choose a pathway and you think, okay, no, this is it. But then something happening, like, again, I cannot believe this happens again. And you go on, right? You start again. And then you see, right? You start to look back in your life and you see maybe it's a family member that you are always in conflict with, or there's always something there. Maybe it's in your work, in your job. You feel you're trying to find that one position and then something happens and you have to restart again. Each one of us have different themes in our lives, right? It's might be a difficult situation that we have to go through, maybe learning how to forgive someone. So this is an opportunity for us to reflect, because he continues, there are a lot of modern day disciples who share in those very same denials because they are inattentive. So we read, we study, we're here together, we're reading, and myself included on this, right? And then we go on with our lives, but are we accepting Jesus and the gospel in going through the path? Has Jesus invited Peter, right? He invited each of the disciples, but you can read so beautifully described in the book Good News Boa Nova by Humberto de Campos, we see how Jesus invites each one of us to be his disciples. And he's inviting us every day to come along. But then we're like hesitant. Oh no, I go in, I listen, but I don't want to get involved, right? I don't want to fulfill my obligations. It might be in the Spirit Center, it might be in our homes, in our society, right? We know that the right and correct path is one way, but then we're like, what people are going to think about me, right? What are they going to say? So we end up taking the easy path, which is not always the correct and straight path. And then Emmanuel continues explaining to us, when we're called to bear witness, these disciples, they linger in the neighborhood of redemptive struggles amongst the servants of utilitarian conventions, using binoculars in order to see the outcomes of others. So you're like, oh, but that is Chico Xavier. He was Chico, right? So we're there looking at people completing their task using binoculars because we're like, let me really see what's going to happen, right? But Chico is such a beautiful example for us because it's like the opposite from what we're reading here, Peter's examples. He wasn't there using the binoculars to see. He was working, he was there, he was making sure that he was being a good disciple. And a good disciple, it might be sometimes be starting with the smallest things. Someone comes and say, oh, but I cannot believe this, that, and that is happening, right? Now there's so much outrage with everything that's happening in our planet, which it is. We have to, change, but we cannot just be sitting there and criticizing. We have to do our part, following what Jesus taught us, right? So it's sometimes putting a word of peace. I was talking with a spiritist, very dear friend, Carol, yesterday, and she gave this beautiful, beautiful connotations of when we look at someone's a particular situation, we can have a 7D camera. And I'm going to summarize to you because she explained very beautifully, but it's when we are always have our own points of view, right? We look at a situation with our camera, but we forget that the other person, they have their own camera. They bring their own view because of their culture, the way they're raised, their parents' previous lives. We have our guardian angels camera. They know what's going on. They can see from a different perspective, right? We have the obsessor's camera. They bring their points of view to the scenario, right? And so we can start to understand situations in a different perspective, always thinking about not only my point of view, but this three-dimensional, right, points of view that we can look at things from different angles and look at the situations. So tonight, friends, I think the mentors really want us to reflect on this reincarnation in this beautiful opportunity that we have all been given, that we all probably ask to come back, to be in this particular situation, to learn from this lesson. So, asking ourselves, what can I learn from this particular scenario? If you're there in the front lines of this pandemic, there's something there for you to learn. If you're at home with your family, there's something for you to learn. right? It's might not be easy. We might have lost a job, but there's always a lesson in every opportunity. But the most important is that we don't take the approach of Peter, because Emmanuel ends saying what will happen there. If we fail, as he says here, in our aspirations and hopes of following Christ, right? The Christ conscious, the Christ teachings, because we keep ourselves at a distance, because we fear of having to give up our immediate gratifications. Interesting choices of word by Emmanuel, right? Giving up our immediate gratifications. And that's what a lot of people nowadays, they want that immediate gratification. But let's think about the eternal gratification. And he ends by saying, if we take that approach of Peter, under those circumstances, the modern day disciples will fail and weep bitterly. So, how many times, right, friends, we have probably come, reincarnated, go on with our lives, and at the end of our lives, we are like, is described here by Emmanuel. We weep, we fail, we cry, we ask to come back. But here we are again. We cannot change the past, friend. As the songs say, right? The past is in the past. But we can make today, starting today, a beautiful future by following the Christ conscious, by following what Jesus taught us. So let us reflect on this. We can start right now to open our hearts for a beautiful, beautiful beginning. We see our planets going through a transition. It's not easy, but imagine the beauty of this regenerative planet that we are coming along now. And soon it will be here and it will be really, really beautiful. So now we invite you for our final prayer to finalize this treatments of tonight. So if you have, put a cup of water right next to you. The mentors, your guardian angel is there. He will provide you with the remedies that we need. And then the most important thing is that we open our hearts to receive this. So I'm going to put some music, and I will invite you now to close your eyes. So let us now, with our eyes closed, transport ourselves to a beautiful lavender field. And as we walk through the lavender flowers, we feel and see the texture, the touch, and the color of the flowers. It is the end of a beautiful afternoon, and you see the sun is setting in the horizon. And as you walk through this lavender field, the color of the lavenders envelop you from head to toe. As you take a deep breath in, you inhale healing remedies for your soul, of forgiveness, first and foremost to yourself and to others. As you breathe out any feelings of revenge, any hurtful feelings from others, guilt from previous choice. As you breathe in peace and you let peace travel through your body, you breathe out sentiments of revenge, retaliation, violence. As you breathe in understanding and tolerance, you release millennia of intolerance, of hatred, miscomprehension. And tonight, in this beautiful lavender field, we raise our thoughts to God. Thank you, dear, loving Father, because even due to many failures like Peter in the past, we were given another opportunity. And today we open ourselves to stop watching you from a distance, to pay attention to our feelings, words, and actions. From today onward, we start anew, thanking Simon Peter for being an example in our lives, so that we can remember not to give in to immediate gratifications, knowing that the path is straight and narrow, but is also filled with joy and hope. We also pray, dear Father, that the colors of the lavender flowers can now travel to the streets of our cities whenever we are, taking peace and light to our brothers and sisters in both realms of life. We pray for those who have temporarily gone astray from your pathway and committed atrocious actions towards others, violence, disrespect. Forgive them, Father. because they don't know what they're doing. We pray for those who have suffered from violence, physical, emotional, spiritual, that they can feel the embrace of Mother Mary's motherly hug. That we can cultivate, all of us, peace in our hearts, focusing on the Christ conscious teachings from our dear Master Jesus. And with your permission, we end this prayerful moments of tonight. And so be it. Thank you so much, dear friends, for another moments of prayer here in Kardec Radio. We want to remind you that to join us here every day live at 6 p.m. for daily prayer programs. There are also several other live programs that you can watch on Kardec Radio's Facebook. But Kardec Radio's is there nourishing your soul 24/7. You can connect via the app, via the different podcasts available on so many platforms, Spotify, SoundCloud, Mixcloud. So any time of the day, you can connect, you can listen to a beautiful message, a beautiful study, and use that consoling words to heal our hearts, whatever we're going through. So have a beautiful, beautiful day or evening whenever you are, and we will see you back here tomorrow. Bye, friends, and thank you for those who I see here who have joined us. Big, big hug and kiss to everybody. Bye.